friends, welcome back to our third video for Marcus Kids Days. I'm McKenna from Artists Working in Education. I hope you're enjoying your summer so far and you're excited to do a new video with us today. So far we have mastered the first two elements of art. Do you remember what we did last week? So last week was element number 2, shape, and then the first week we did was element number 1, which was line. This week we'll learn about one of my favorites, which is color. We're going to do 3 different projects that explore what color means in artwork, and we're going to look at different ways you can add color to your art. First, we're going to ask ourselves, what is color? Do you know what the word color means? Color is light that is reflected off of objects. To see color, you have to have light. Without lights, we can't see color at all. We're going to start off our lesson today by thinking of different colors we see all around us in nature. I'm going to say some things from nature, and you can shout out what color they are. The first one is something that you probably see a lot. It's grass. So what color is grass? Grass is green. The color green is usually connected to growth, life, and nature. So when we see that color, we might think of nature right away when we see it. Now, what color is a tree? Depending on what time of the year it is, the trees might be different colors. So if you said brown, that's right because the trunk of the tree is brown all year round, and then the color of the leaves changes with the seasons. In the fall, what color do you see when you look at the leaves? I usually see trees that are orange, red, and yellow. And then in the spring and summer, when the trees are growing and getting bigger, the leaves are green. Now let's think of some animals and shout out what color they are. The first animal is an animal you might see if you went to the zoo or you watched a nature documentary. It's a tiger. Tigers are orange and they have black stripes, and sometimes they have white and black on their face as well. The next animal is another one we don't have in Wisconsin, but you might see it at the zoo or in a movie. It's a crocodile. Crocodiles are green, sometimes they're gray or dark brown, but usually we see green crocodiles. How about a panda? What color are they? Pandas are always black and white. And this might be a challenging one. What color is a chameleon? Whichever color you guessed, you might be right. Chameleons are a special kind of animal because they change color based on the environment around them. Chameleons are usually green because they're surrounded by leaves and they might be in a jungle or a forest, but they can change to different colors. Some of the other colors they can change to include pink, brown, blue, turquoise, purple, and orange. So they can be a lot of different colors. They also change the patterns on their skin depending on where they are. Now, we warmed up our brains by thinking of different colors that we see in nature. We're going to move on and talk about how colors are used in different kinds of art. Colors can be used to change our moods or feelings when we look at them. They can also be used to represent those moods and feelings. So we're going to do another activity where I will ask you a question and you can shout out the answer back. When I say a feeling, I want you to respond with what color you think of right away. The first feeling is happy. So which color do you think of when you hear the word happy, or what color might come to your mind when you're feeling happy? The second feeling we're going to think about is sad. Do you think of a different color, or do you think of the same color you think of when you hear the word happy? Now, excited. What color comes to mind when you hear the word excited? We're going to mix it up and do something a little different now. I'm going to say the color, and then you think of a feeling and say it back. What feeling do you think pink represents? When you see pink, how does it make you feel? How about red? What feeling or emotion do you have when you hear the word red, or you see red in art, or see red in nature? Now, green. What feelings come when you think of green or see green? If you did this activity with another person, you might have totally different answers for the different colors. Personally, with the color yellow, I think that yellow is happy, and I feel happy when I see yellow. So if I was going to make a painting and I wanted the viewer to feel happy when they looked at it, I would add a lot of yellow and bright colors, like maybe also orange in the painting. Have you ever noticed different colors when you went shopping at the grocery store? How about if you went into the cereal aisle? I bet that all the cereal boxes weren't the same color and you saw a whole rainbow of different types of cereal. Big companies use color to tell us what we should buy, and they try to prove that their product is going to be a cereal that's tasty for us. So if we see the color red, we might think, oh, I love the color red. I think that cereal is going to be really good. These colors and patterns influence us whether we know it or not. It's kind of like we're not even thinking about the colors when we look at the product, but our brain is telling us that we're going to like something, or maybe we won't like it based on the color that it is. When artists use different colors, they are usually trying to show different feelings and moods instead of trying to get you to buy their art based on their color choices. For our first project, we are going to make our own color wheels at home using colored pencils and paint. But before we start, we're going to go over the do's and don'ts of painting at home. We know that paints can be expensive, but they are also very fun and useful. We can teach you how to make several different colors of paint using the 3 primary colors: yellow, blue, and red. White paint is also handy if you want to make more pastel colors or lighten up the paints that you have. So if you have that 4th color, white, that can open up a lot of possibilities. If you don't have paint at home, we can show you a few different ways you can make paint that's non-toxic using things from your pantry. Check out our Terms to Know sheet for a few different recipes to make paint at home. The first thing we do when we're going to paint at home is ask an adult for permission. Tell them about the exciting project you're going to do and see if they want to help you. You can be the art teacher and show them what to do. If it is your first time painting, it's best to get a little bit of help, and maybe the adult in your home has some tips and tricks to make you a great painter. So after we got permission to paint, we're going to choose our workspace. I'm going to use this table, but when you're painting on the table, you have to make sure that you cover it really well. So this is a paper bag. If you have a paper bag at home, you can cut it on the seam and spread it out so you can see it's really long here. And you want your space to be totally covered. If I want to patch up these blank spots on the table, I can also put out some newspaper. This is my complete painting area, and if my painting is going to be about this big, I feel good because I have a few inches on every side where if I paint over the edge of the paper, I'm not going to get it on the table. And also to keep in mind with the different paper that you're using, if I am going to use a paper bag, this is pretty thick, so I'm not worried about the paint getting through. But if I'm using something like newspaper, this is a little bit thinner, so you can add a few layers to make sure the paint doesn't seep through onto your table. If you don't have these at home, you can also use extra newsprint, or you can use a disposable tablecloth, like a plastic tablecloth. Or you can use different kinds of just magazine paper or paper in your recycling bin to make sure your space is covered. We also have to be careful where we put our paint. So if I'm going to start my painting, I'm not going to put the paint just anywhere on my work surface. You have to use a paper plate or an old Tupperware or something that can hold your paint. I think a paper plate is pretty nice because it's big enough where I can hold a few different colors of paint. Another tip when you're painting is to start with just a little dab of paint. You really don't need that much, and if you want to add a little bit more later on, you can. So here I am putting the 3 primary colors on my paper. Also, when you paint, you want to make sure your paintbrush is always in the right spot. So after I've used my paintbrush, I'm going to put it in the water and clean it off. If you want to switch colors while you're painting, I want to use blue first, and then I want to switch to yellow. I'm going to clean off blue, and if I need to, I'll wash it off with a paper towel or a napkin as well and dry it off. But then my paintbrush is clean, so I can switch to the next color. And don't use your paint anywhere except on your paper. You want to make sure it's always staying on your paper and not getting other places, because even if it's on the table or on the paper on the table, you might get it on your hands more easily than if you just keep it on your workspace. It is also good to wear an apron or an old t-shirt to protect your clothes while you're painting. Paint is hard to clean off, and sometimes it doesn't get out of clothes easily. Don't get any paint on your friends or family members when you're painting, and don't paint on someone else's project unless you have their permission. If you get a little bit of paint on your clothes and you need to wash it out, use soap and water right away. Now I'm going to show you how to draw a color wheel using colored pencils. I have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple to do my color wheel. I've got the 3 primary colors, which are blue, red, and yellow, and the 3 secondary colors, green, orange, and purple. You can see that I cut my circle up into 12 different slices. How I did that is I drew a first one line split down the middle, and then another line split down the middle, and then I had 4 sections, and each section got broken up into 3 parts because I want there to be 12 slices total. To start, I'm going to add my first primary color, which is red. So I'm going to color in 1 slice red. Next, I'm going to add yellow, and to find out where yellow is going to go, I'm going to count 4 slices away from red. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to count 4 slices away from yellow and add blue. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we add our secondary colors. The secondary colors fall in between the 2 primaries. Between red and yellow is orange, so the slice in the middle is going to be filled in with orange. The slice in between blue and yellow will be green. The slice in between blue and red will be purple. The colors in between these colors don't have an exact name. Sometimes we just call them, for example, green, yellow, yellow, orange, red, orange. They're a mix of the 2 colors that surround them. So how I'm going to achieve this is I'm going to color in a little bit with each of the colored pencil. So to get reddish orange, first I'm going to put down a layer of orange. And I'm going to draw a little bit more lightly this time. Now I'm going to add red onto it so they blend together. You can see that it's like darkening the orange. Same goes for yellow-orange. I'm going to add in yellow. And then add a little bit of tint of orange. Now for yellow-green, I'm going to add the yellow first. Now I have greenish blue. I'm going to do the green first. And blue purple. And purplish red. One way we can categorize colors is by warm and cool. My warm colors are going to be from about purple to yellow, and then the cool colors from yellow-green back to purple. Purple is considered warm and cool because it's a mixture of blue and red. But this blue purple is cool and this red purple is warm. Now I'm going to quickly show you how to make a color wheel with paint. see I made both of my color wheels, one with colored pencil and one with paint. The painted one is a lot bolder, and that's one of the advantages of working with paint instead of a drawing utensil like colored pencils. Paint allows us to really easily mix the colors together and create those mixtures of blue-green, yellow-orange, reddish-purple, and so on. This is our third week, so we're going to be learning about our third artist. To refresh our memories, our first artist was Henri Matisse, and our second artist was A.W.E. Kusama. This week we're going to learn about an American artist. Her name was Alma Thomas. She lived in Washington, D.C. She was an expressionist painter and an art educator, best known for her colorful abstract paintings. She would draw shapes on the canvas and then fill them in with color. Alma was interested in color theory, which is a study of the visual effects of different color combinations. Something interesting about Alma Thomas is that she wasn't recognized as a professional artist until after she retired from being a middle school art teacher. She believed that creativity should be independent of gender or race, creating works with a focus on accidental beauty and the abstraction of color. This painting is called Resurrection from 1966. We're going to create similar paintings using a stamping technique. You're going to need an item to use as a stamp. You can use a cork, a plastic cap, a small wheel, a Lego, a cardboard shape, or your own fingerprint. You will also need paper, acrylic or tempera paint, and a paper plate to hold your paints. I have a special guest for our project today, and that's another artist and my friend Drea. Hey Drea.
Hi McKenna, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm ready to do some art with you.
Well, I'm super excited to be here with everybody. I have my special painting apron on, and it can get all kinds of paint on it, so I'm ready to do some painting.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm wearing my painting shirt. That's a good reminder for everyone at home to change into some different clothes. If you have on nice clothes, you want to wear something that you're okay with possibly getting paint on. But if you do get paint on your clothes, make sure you wash it out with soap and water right away. And now we're ready to get started. So make sure when you're painting, you show the grown-ups in your house that you can be responsible and clean when you're making your project, and they're going to be really excited to see what you make. So when we made our color wheels, we used a paintbrush, but for this project we're going to use a stamp with the paint. So look around your house and try to find a few objects that you can use as a stamp for this project. We have some examples here. So one thing you can use is a sponge. These are really good because they soak up paint. And I'll show you what kind of mark it makes on the paper. So that's the mark you get with a sponge. Do you want to try a different object on your paper?
Yeah, so I'm going to try what looks like a cap to maybe a water bottle or a box of juice. And it has some pretty fun shapes in here. So let's give it a try, McKenna. Let's see what we come up with. I think I'm going to go with yellow. So we just go ahead and put it in our yellow paint. And maybe I don't want quite so much paint on there. So I might just go ahead and wipe a little off, and then I'm going to try it on my paper. Ooh, that made a nice round circle, yeah. So it doesn't seem like it showed any of the texture that was on the lid, but it does make a fun stamp.
Awesome. And you can see how the first time she stamped, it has more of a perfect circle, and then the stamp gets lighter each time. Another thing you can use as your stamp is a bigger cap. We have this. You can use a cork, some foam shapes. You might have some toys that look like foam shapes at home. And also, this is part of an egg carton. And I'm interested in seeing what kind of shape that this makes. So this makes kind of, if you remember from last week, the word organic, it makes an organic shape. It doesn't look quite the same on both sides. So before we start our stamping project, we're going to mix additional colors to use. You can see that Drea already put the 3 primary colors on her plate, and now she's going to mix them to create the secondary colors. So first, you can mix yellow and red to make orange.
So here I have an orange that I feel pretty happy with, McKenna.
Yeah, it looks great.
But when you're mixing at home, feel free to make your orange a little lighter or a little darker, and you would just do that by, say I wanted to make a lighter orange. I would just add in a little bit more yellow. If I wanted to darken it back up again, just get a little bit more red.
Which secondary color do you want to make next?
How about we show them a little purple?
Perfect.
Just gonna clean off my brush. And that gives me a pretty deep purple. If I want it a little less blue, I can just add in a little bit more red until it gets to be about the shade of purple that I like. What do you think about this, MacKenna?
That looks really good. I think that's a great purple.
Okay, thank you.
I only have one secondary color left.
Again, I'm going to rinse off my brush, and then we'll make our last secondary color. Can you guys remember what the last secondary color is? Did I hear someone say green? So for our last secondary color, green, we're going to take yellow, and remember, yellow isn't as strong of a color as some of the other primary colors, right? So a little bit of yellow, and then the tiniest bit of blue to start. And then we'll see what kind of green that gives us. Okay, we've got our green now.
That's an awesome rainbow.
So MacKenna, do you think that we should show them what white can do?
Yeah, I think that would be a great tool for all of our artists out there.
I could agree more. So we'll get a little bit of white, and you can put it on this same plate if you want, but I'm just going to start with a new plate. And then what color do you think we should show them, MacKenna?
I think purple, because a lot of the purples that we do see actually have a little bit of white in them already.
So remember, we'll clean our brush before we start with a new color. So then, after I get my purple, I'm going to add in my white. And depending on how much white I add in, we ended up making a great lavender color, MacKenna.
Yeah, it looks really pretty.
So if you see, we have our original purple, and then once we've added the white in, we end up having a more lavender colored purple.
It's a great way to make pink too. It's just red and a little bit of white.
Let's show them that one quick. So a little red, remember red's a pretty strong color, so we just get a little red, some white, if you have white paint, it's a great way to get a lot of colors with only starting with our 3 primary colors.
So just like our artist inspiration, Alma Thomas, Drea and I are both going to do stamping projects where we create fields of color. You're going to see what that looks like when we both choose our first color. So I'm going to use a sponge, and what kind of object are you using?
I have a piece of cork from a bottle.
Perfect. So let's get started, and we can both choose any color off of our paper plate that we want to. I'm going to start with yellow.
And I think I'm going to start with green.
So we're both creating our first field of color. So this whole section on my paper and her paper, it's only one color. So she's using green, I'm using yellow. When we switch to a different color, we're going to make a new field.
So McKenna, you know what I really like about this piece of cork that I'm using?
What?
I think it's, kind of a multi-purpose shape. So I was using it on its side before, and now I think I'm going to try it on one of the ends where it's circular and create another pattern within my field piece.
That's a good idea.
So let's see what we get. So I'm just going to finish out my last field with a different shape here. I'm using my same tool.
Nice.
There we go. Well, McKenna, now that our pieces are done, I have to say it was so fun hanging out with you today and painting and learning about Alma Thomas and colors and the color wheel. And I'd love to come back and hang out with you again and do some painting.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back, and I'm sure everyone else would enjoy watching us both together again too.
Well, McKenna, I probably should go get cleaned up because my hands are a little bit messy, so
Me too.
I'm ready to go ahead and wipe them off.
Okay, thank you so much for helping us
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Bye, everybody.
Next week for our project, you're going to want to have some recyclables that we're going to be building with. So if you have anything sitting in your recycling bin, like any cardboard boxes or cereal boxes or plastic bottles, things like that, we're going to be repurposing those for art. In addition to that, you'll want to have some scissors, a pencil and paper, and some liquid glue and masking tape. Thank you for watching our video. I'm really glad that we got to make another art project together. Now we're 3 weeks in, so we have 3 weeks left of the program. I hope you can feel yourself getting more enthusiastic about art, maybe learning some things you didn't know before, and maybe even feeling like you're gaining some new skills in art. For our bonus project, you can mix colors at home using frosting and food coloring. This is a fun project because you can eat some frosting at the end. See what happens when you add a little bit of food coloring and a lot of food coloring. And you can also see what happens when you mix together different colors that are primary colors. Maybe you'll mix red and blue to get purple in your food coloring. You can experiment and see what happens when you mix together different colors.